Emma Carter gave 8 years of her life to Westbridge Technologies. She saved failing projects, protected her team, and quietly helped the company succeed. But during a meeting filled with hundreds of employees, her own husband publicly accused her of failure and fired her without mercy. As Emma walked out carrying everything she owned in a cardboard box, she gave him one final warning. "This decision will change your life." He thought she was finished. He had no idea she would return 48 hours later as the new CEO. For 8 years, Emma Carter had quietly become the backbone of Westbridge Technologies. While executives took credit for successful projects and managers celebrated record-breaking quarters, Emma remained behind the scenes, solving problems before they became disasters. She wasn't interested in office politics or expensive titles. Her satisfaction came from knowing that her work mattered, even if nobody noticed. Among the few people who knew her best was her husband, Daniel Carter. They had met long before either of them joined Westbridge. In those days, Daniel admired Emma's intelligence and determination. They dreamed of building successful careers together, believing they would always support one another, no matter what life brought. But dreams often changed when ambition entered the picture. Daniel joined Westbridge 3 years after Emma. His confidence, charm, and ability to impress senior executives helped him climb the corporate ladder much faster than expected. Within a short time, he became director of operations. Emma never felt jealous. She celebrated every promotion, every achievement, and every milestone Daniel reached. She believed that if one of them succeeded, both of them succeeded. Daniel no longer shared that belief. As his authority grew, his personality slowly changed. The caring husband who once asked about her day now spent evenings talking about power, influence, and executive meetings. At work, he insisted they hide their marriage, claiming it would prevent rumors of favoritism. Emma reluctantly agreed. She convinced herself he was protecting both of their careers. What Emma didn't know was that Daniel had quietly begun distancing himself for another reason. His growing friendship with ambitious marketing executive Vanessa Brooks had become the subject of whispered conversations throughout the office. Emma ignored the rumors, refusing to believe her husband would betray her trust. Meanwhile, another pair of eyes had been watching everything. Richard Lawson, the 70-year-old founder of Westbridge Technologies, had spent the past 2 years secretly evaluating future leadership candidates. He wasn't searching for the loudest executive or the most aggressive manager. He wanted someone whose character remained strong even when nobody was watching. Time and again, one employee stood out: Emma Carter. Late one Friday afternoon, Richard asked Emma to meet him at a quiet downtown restaurant after work. Curious but respectful, she accepted the invitation, unaware that the conversation waiting for her would change not only her career, but also her marriage, forever. Emma took a deep breath as she stepped inside the restaurant, completely unaware that one decision made that evening would soon turn her entire world upside down. Richard Lawson was already waiting by the window when Emma entered the quiet restaurant. The 70-year-old founder stood to greet her with a warm smile, shaking her hand before inviting her to sit. Unlike the intimidating businessman employees saw in board meetings, tonight he looked calm, almost fatherly. "I appreciate you coming," Richard said. "I wasn't sure why you wanted to see me," Emma admitted. "You'll understand soon enough." A waiter poured coffee before leaving them alone. Richard remained silent for a moment, studying Emma as though confirming something he had believed for years. "Do you know why Westbridge has survived for more than 3 decades?" Emma smiled politely. "Because you've always made smart decisions." Richard chuckled. "No, because I learned long ago that buildings, software, and money don't build companies. People do." He leaned forward. "And I've spent the last 2 years searching for the right person to protect this company after I retire." Emma assumed he was asking for recommendations. Instead, Richard removed a thick sealed folder from his briefcase and gently pushed it across the table. "Open it." Confused, Emma untied the ribbon. Inside were legal documents, ownership agreements, and an official letter from the board. Her eyes froze on one sentence. Chief Executive Officer Designation, Emma Carter. She looked up in complete disbelief. There has to be some mistake. There isn't. Richard smiled. You've already earned this position. The paperwork was completed weeks ago. Emma could barely breathe. Why me? 'Cause you solve problems without asking for recognition. You protect your team instead of yourself. You lead when nobody tells you to. Emma lowered her eyes, overwhelmed. I've never even managed an executive department. Leadership isn't a title, Richard replied. It's a habit. He explained that the board had unanimously approved the decision. The official announcement would take place the following Friday after shareholders signed the final transition agreement. Until then, Richard added, I need absolute confidentiality. Emma nodded. I understand. One more thing. Richard's expression became serious. Over the past year, I've received anonymous reports about unethical decisions inside senior management. Missing budgets, suspicious vendor contracts, manipulated performance reviews. Emma frowned. You think someone inside the company is responsible? I know someone is. He paused. I just don't know who yet. As Emma left the restaurant, countless thoughts raced through her mind. She wanted to tell Daniel everything. He was her husband. This news should have been shared with him first. But Richard had trusted her with the company's biggest secret. She couldn't break that promise. When Emma arrived home, Daniel wasn't there. His phone sent only one message. Working late. Don't wait up. Emma smiled sadly and placed the confidential folder inside her desk drawer. She never noticed the black luxury sedan parked across the street. Inside, Vanessa Brooks quietly lowered her phone after taking several photographs of Emma entering the house alone. A slow smile appeared on her face. Everything is almost ready, she whispered to someone on the other end of the call. Emma barely slept that night. Richard's words echoed through her mind. In less than a week, she would become the CEO of Westbridge Technologies, yet she couldn't tell a single person, not even her own husband. The next morning, she arrived at the office earlier than usual. The confidential folder remained locked inside her bag, and she reminded herself to act as if nothing had changed. As she walked through the lobby, she noticed employees whispering. The conversation stopped the moment she passed by. Something felt different. Inside her office, she opened her laptop and found dozens of unread emails. Most were routine, but one message immediately caught her attention. Mandatory Executive Performance Review, Monday, 10 a.m. The sender was Daniel. Emma frowned. Department directors normally conducted those meetings privately. There was no reason for someone at her level to be included. Before she could think about it further, there was a knock on her door. Vanessa Brooks stepped inside with a bright smile. Morning, Emma. Good morning. I heard Daniel is reviewing your department next week. Emma looked surprised. I didn't know everyone already knew. Vanessa shrugged casually. News travels fast around here. She glanced around Emma's office before leaving, her smile disappearing the second the door closed. Emma couldn't explain it, but something about Vanessa's behavior made her uneasy. Meanwhile, 2 floors above, Daniel sat inside his office with Vanessa. She placed several printed documents on his desk. These are the reports I told you about. Daniel flipped through the pages. Several financial summaries appeared incomplete. Client proposals lacked signatures. Budget sheets showed missing figures. This is enough, Daniel said. Vanessa nodded. It'll look like Emma has been neglecting her work for months. Daniel hesitated for only a second. Are you sure these are hers? They came from her department. What Daniel didn't know was that Vanessa had secretly removed completed pages from every file before printing them. The reports had been deliberately altered. They're expecting strong leadership from you, Vanessa continued softly. If you ignore poor performance because she's your friend, people will question your judgment. Daniel leaned back in his chair. No one knows she's my wife. And they never should. A slow smile crossed Vanessa's face. Monday is the perfect opportunity. Daniel nodded. Then Monday it is. Neither of them noticed the security camera outside the office quietly recording Vanessa entering with the documents and leaving without them. Late that afternoon, Emma received an unexpected call from Richard. "I need you to stay patient," he said calmly. "Has something happened? I believe someone inside the company is about to make a very serious mistake." Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "I can't explain yet," Richard replied. "Just promise me one thing. I'm listening. No matter what happens over the next few days, don't resign." Before Emma could ask another question, the call ended. Standing alone in her office, Emma looked through the glass walls toward Daniel's executive suite. She had no idea that the meeting scheduled for Monday wasn't a performance review. It was a carefully planned public humiliation, and she was the target. Monday morning arrived with an unusual tension hanging over Westbridge Technologies. Emma noticed it the moment she stepped into the building. Employees who normally greeted her with smiles suddenly looked away. Some whispered behind closed office doors, while others avoided eye contact altogether. By 9:55 a.m., an email appeared on every employee's computer. Mandatory company meeting, attendance required. Emma's heart sank. She walked into the main conference hall and immediately realized something wasn't right. Nearly every department was present. Executives stood near the front, while Daniel confidently adjusted the projector. Vanessa sat in the first row with a satisfied smile, pretending to organize paperwork. Emma quietly took a seat near the back. At exactly 10 o'clock, Daniel stepped onto the stage. "Thank you everyone for coming." The room fell silent. "As leaders, we have a responsibility to protect this company from negligence, regardless of who is involved." Emma frowned. Daniel clicked the remote. The first incomplete report appeared on the giant screen. "This project lost us an important client." Another slide appeared. "This financial summary was submitted with missing data." Then another. "And this proposal nearly cost the company millions." Every document displayed Emma's name. Soft murmurs spread across the room. Emma stood up. Those reports weren't finished. Someone removed the final pages. Daniel didn't even look at her. "Please don't interrupt." He continued clicking through one document after another. Vanessa lowered her head, hiding the smile forming across her face. Daniel faced the employees again. No company can succeed if people refuse to meet professional standards. Emma felt dozens of eyes staring at her. For the first time in years, she couldn't find the words to defend herself. Daniel reached into a folder and removed a prepared termination letter. "As Director of Operations, I have made a difficult decision." He looked directly at Emma. "Effective immediately. You are dismissed." Complete silence filled the conference hall. Several employees stared in disbelief. Everyone knew Emma worked harder than anyone in the company, yet no one spoke. Emma slowly walked toward the stage. She accepted the termination letter without reading it. Then she looked into Daniel's eyes. "This decision," she said quietly, "will change your life." Daniel remained expressionless. "This isn't personal." Emma gave a faint, heartbreaking smile. "I know. It's business." For a brief second, Daniel felt something he couldn't explain. Guilt. But Vanessa gently touched his arm. "You did the right thing." Security escorted Emma through the lobby. One by one, employees lowered their heads as she passed. Nobody applauded. Nobody celebrated. Outside the building, Emma placed the cardboard box containing 8 years of memories into the trunk of her car. Her phone vibrated. It was Richard Lawson. "I've been watching everything," he said calmly. Emma closed her eyes. "So it happened." "Yes." Richard's voice became firm. "Good." Emma opened her eyes in confusion. "Good? They've just revealed exactly who they really are." He paused before delivering the words that made Emma's heartbeat quicken. Now it's time for the board to meet. Before she could respond, the call ended. Inside the conference room, Daniel smiled proudly, believing he had eliminated the company's weakest employee. He had no idea that in less than 48 hours, the woman he had publicly humiliated would walk back through those same doors as the new owner of Westbridge Technologies. 2 days after Emma's dismissal, every employee at Westbridge Technologies received an urgent email. Mandatory company assembly. Attendance required by order of the board of directors. The message spread through the building like wildfire. No one knew why the board had called such an unexpected meeting. Daniel adjusted his expensive tie as he entered the auditorium. After firing Emma, he believed his reputation had only grown stronger. Several executives even congratulated him for making what they called a tough leadership decision. Vanessa walked beside him, smiling confidently. "Everything's finally falling into place," she whispered. Daniel nodded. It was the right move. Moments later, the lights dimmed. Richard Lawson slowly walked onto the stage, receiving a standing ovation. He raised one hand, asking everyone to sit. "For 35 years," he began, "I've had the privilege of leading this company." The room became completely silent. But every great company reaches a moment when leadership must be passed to someone new. Daniel straightened in his chair. He was certain his promotion was about to be announced. Richard smiled. Choosing the next CEO wasn't based on popularity or titles. He pressed a small remote. Emma's photograph appeared on the massive screen behind him. A wave of shocked whispers spread through the auditorium. Daniel's confident smile disappeared. "This," Richard continued, "is the woman I selected over 2 years ago to become the next chief executive officer of Westbridge Technologies." The side doors opened. Emma walked into the room wearing a navy blue business suit, calm and confident. Every employee stood to their feet. Some began applauding. Others stared in disbelief. Daniel looked as though the ground had disappeared beneath him. "This can't be happening," he whispered. Emma walked onto the stage and shook Richard's hand before turning toward the audience. Richard spoke again. "Unfortunately, before today's announcement, someone made a terrible mistake." The giant screen changed. Security footage appeared. Vanessa entering Daniel's office with company files. Another clip showed her removing completed pages from Emma's reports. Gasps echoed through the auditorium. Then came email records. Fake performance reports, altered documents, private messages between Vanessa and Daniel discussing Emma's dismissal. Daniel's face turned completely pale. Vanessa immediately stood. "This isn't what it looks like." "It is exactly what it looks like," Richard replied. One board member rose from his seat. "Daniel Carter, Vanessa Brooks, you are both terminated immediately for misconduct, document manipulation, abuse of authority, and violating company ethics." Security approached them. For the first time, Daniel looked directly at Emma. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I never knew." Emma interrupted him gently. "You never bothered to know." Daniel lowered his head as security escorted him toward the exit. Before leaving, he turned one final time. Emma simply wished him well. There was no anger in her eyes, only peace. She walked to the podium. "I didn't return for revenge," she told the employees. "I returned to build a company where respect matters more than power, where honesty matters more than ambition, and where no employee will ever be judged before the truth is known." The room erupted into applause. Months later, Westbridge Technologies became one of the fastest-growing companies in the country under Emma's leadership. People no longer remembered the day she was fired. They remembered the day she walked back through those doors, not as a victim, but as the CEO who proved that true leadership isn't earned by authority, it's earned by character. Sometimes the people who overlook your value are the same people who teach you never to doubt it again. Emma did not win because she had more power. She won because she remained honest, patient, and strong when everyone expected her to break. True leadership is not earned through a title. It is earned through character. If Emma's journey inspired you, like this video and subscribe to All Shades of Love for more emotional stories of betrayal, courage, and powerful comebacks. And tell us in the comments, would you have forgiven Daniel or walked away forever?